They salvaged the series finale with closer Tyler Phillips on the mound right here. Louis Adio-Wise pulled together these numbers. This is not it's unusual for him to be closing a game, but he's been pitching extremely well now for a very large share of this season. And it felt like time to give him his flowers a little bit here. The fact that he's been preventing runs at this kind of level, and he had his own semi-viral moments in the aftermath of this, with the post-game interview that he gave to Marlins radio, with his entrance, people becoming now more aware of the slapping routine that he does when he comes in from the bullpen. What do you think about Phillips? How legit is he at this stage of the season for a guy that used to be a starter, but is now a pretty important piece of this Marlins bullpen?
Yeah, he's been doing it since June, it seems like. Just he's so efficient at rolling around balls. He talked about it in that, like you said, that viral interview, just that the Marlins organization has unlocked with all their guys, all their starters, all their relievers, all the position players. Whatever they do well, that's what they're going to focus on, and that's what the front office and the coaches want them to do. And the guy can roll ground balls like none other. He's been doing it for the past 3 months now, and if it works in the ninth, sure. It feels like ever since he's been slapping himself since that Yankee series, he's been getting like 4 or 5 pitch innings and guys roll over, and that's it. For sure, should be getting more late average. I know Kevin has been very harping on the fact that he's not a high leverage late inning guy, but until he proves us otherwise, I don't think that you cannot give him that opportunity, especially the way the Marlins have been slumping in the past couple of weeks. So definitely approve it. That guy is probably the most viral player on the Marlins this season, I'd say. Outside of Stowers, you obviously had that Barstool appearance with Kyle, and now this interview is going viral with Steven. Shouts to him, by the way. The fact that you're able to keep your composure when that guy is, look like he's going to kill you, it's very impressive work. So hopefully Tyler keeps it going. Eli touched on the fact that this guy could really stick around for 2026 and beyond. If it somehow falls through as a late inning guy, you can go back to more of a swingman role, a little bit of lawn relief, as he does have that starting experience. So very interesting find. I've said it in the past that Peter Bendit's with just a lot of bullpen guys, especially those waivers. Throw it at a wall. If it sticks, then you got a guy, and that's what he's done, and that's what he's going to continue to do. Tyler Phillips, just another one in that long lineage.
Yeah, the personality really fits bullpen. Honestly, you see bullpen guys have by far the weirdest personalities of anyone on that roster, and he fits that to a T. I guess the only thing a little bit concerning with his numbers lately, he just doesn't strike out as many guys as you'd like a high leverage reliever to do. But everything else, he is preventing runs, like Eli said, at an incredible rate, and doing it in the most important innings of a Major League Baseball game. And coming off a 32-pitch appearance on Saturday, I was going to ask Clayton McCullough, but I was being to it that, 32 pitches, Ronnie Henriquez hadn't thrown that many. You felt comfortable enough to go with Tyler Phillips after he threw that many pitches. And he referenced spring training, him being stretched out. Well, I'm sorry. Earlier in the season, he wasn't with spring training in the Marlins. He was able to get stretched out. As mentioned, he was previously a starter, and he's able to go back-to-back days with high leverage innings as well as with throwing as many pitches as that. So it's a really important asset for this team.
Yeah, it's a worthy reminder of how he got to the Marlins. He was DFA'd at the end of spring training by the Phillies. It's a glorified waiver claim. The Marlins give up cash considerations to get him. And I remember my first instinct was maybe he's rotation depth because the Marlins had a couple of spring injuries. And then my other thought was, well, he's out of here as soon as they get anybody else healthy. He felt like the very lowest guy on the active roster in terms of job security, and he didn't even pitch that well early on. I still remember pretty clearly when Augustine made his debut. That was Max Meyer's 14 strikeout game, and the Marlins had a commanding lead, and then Tyler Phillips comes in and he gives up 3 runs. He gave a home run to somebody on the Reds in that one, and they ended up winning the game. But I remember thinking, even at that point, a few weeks into the year, like, this guy's he's a nobody. That I could not have imagined him being on the team this long, and pretty much since then running. If you want to stretch out that sample going back like 4 months, it's a sub-3 ERA. You mentioned the ground ball rate, especially since the All-Star break, it's been in the 60s percentile compared to first season overall. It's well into the 50s, but it's been like straight up elite since then. And as Isaac mentioned, he still doesn't get any strikeouts. So that sets a pretty low ceiling on who he's going to be as a reliever. If he's just not missing bats, if he's striking out 6 guys per 9 innings, even during a good stretch of time, that is not that's not something that modern front offices really value very much at all, unless you're getting outs. And the fact that he is still getting outs and a lot of weak contact, a lot of ground ball contact is that's been an interesting twist. And what Nate was alluding to is, I wrote up on the site, there's just not that many guys that are locked into this bullpen moving forward. It's going to be, assuming he returns to full health, it's going to be Anthony Bender, and it's definitely going to be Ronnie Henriquez. And then there's like a half step drop off to Calvin Fauché, who's been up and down this year. He's been all right, but not who he was at times in 2024. And then it's kind of wide open. There are guys we like in the minors that should get an opportunity that haven't already. And then there's a lot of guys that are hurt because Andrew Nardi is going to wind up missing the whole year, it seems like. Declan Cronin might miss parts of next year after suffering what looks like a pretty serious arm injury. And Jesus Tinoco is definitely going to miss part of next year. He might not even be on the team, unfortunately, as he's about to undergo surgery on his forearm as well. So it's just kind of wide open at this point in a way that they're going to be relying on guys converted, maybe some converted starters that get squeezed out of that mix. I think that's part of it. I brought up Max Meyer inadvertently. Max Meyer is kind of the first guy that comes to mind that all of a sudden it's getting really crowded on this rotation depth chart. Maybe Max is part of that solution, that he's a guy that theoretically you might like him a little bit more in high leverage situations than Phillips if he's able to make that transition. But it's still pretty theoretical because they haven't even started that process yet.
I think what also is huge with a guy like Phillips is that you've seen so many times this season that there are no set rules in this bullpen. I remember back in June we saw Ronnie Enriquez pitching in the 4th. A couple of weeks ago we didn't see him pitch at all, and then we've seen him work in the 9th. Phillips, I remember that Milwaukee series up at American Family Field. Guy threw 40 pitches in that game 2 on Saturday. He can do that role. He can do high leverage. He can come in with runners on, get you an out or two. So I think that adds a lot of value with him as well. The guy's going to be a bulldog no matter which role you throw him to, which, like you guys have said, that's exactly what you want in a reliever. So that just adds to him. He's going to go out wherever role you need him to do. He's going to do it well. So I think that is definitely that you should put stock in that, and that if the Marlins need a guy like him, they can do whatever role they want, and that adds a lot of value with him going forward next year's bullpen.